So this video is for Leah to talk about the halftone effect, but I also wanted everyone else to see it. It's basically talking about doing things in batches in Photoshop and in InDesign. So let's start here. So I'm in InDesign. Leah, you have set all your capital letters. So you have, let's say, you have an A and a B and a C. You already have these typeset. So I'm going to grab this and I am going to copy it. And then I'm going to come in here. Now I'm in Photoshop and I've got a 4" by 4" artboard in Photoshop. And I'm going to name this artboard letter A.png. And I am going to paste the letter in. And you will notice that it comes in as a smart object. All right, so make that bigger. So there's my letter A on an artboard named letter A PNG. So I'm going to come here. Now it's already a smart object, so I'm going to use a smart filter. Filter, pixelate, color halftone. Now, these numbers, the machine's numbers, because I was playing around with this, are pretty high. It's like 100, 80, 50. The smaller these numbers are, the halftone dots will be closer together. So let's make them, I'm going to make them all 20, and I'll make this one 15. I'll make this one 6, and I'll make this one 8. And you can play around with the dots. And then the radius, that's how big the halftone dot becomes. So I'm going to make a fairly small halftone dot. And there are my halftone dots. So this is emulating kind of a cheap print process, a halftone screen. All right, so I've got my first letter. So I am going to duplicate by coming down here to the duplicate button, this artboard. And I'm going to rename this one, and I'm going to call it letter B.png. All right. So I'm going to do this the wrong way first. If I click on the smart object and I go in and double click on it, you'll notice it immediately brings me into Adobe Illustrator to edit the letter. This is a live letter. This has not been transformed into an outline. And I go B, I want it to be B. Well, first of all, the first thing that happens is you can see that there is an outline. The outline is one color, and this is another color. So let me go back. So I have two letters, right? So I'm going to delete that one. I'm going to take this one, and I'll add the outline again. Illustrator basically split the image. Not a big deal. But I'm going to go back now. Now I have a B, but if I go back and I save the change, do you see that both smart objects now have changed? That's because it is essentially the same smart object in both artboards. So I don't want to do that. Here's what I want to do. I want to say to the vector smart object, I want to come up here to layer and say make a new smart object via copy. This copied smart object is the one I want. So I'm going to delete this one. This copy, see the word copy right there, is the one I want. I'm going to double click. And there it is. And that's a B. I'll delete this outline. Whoops. I'll delete this outline. And I will give the B a stroke. And I know that you, Leah, were wondering about whether you wanted to do this. But so now, watch. I'm going to hit save. And now I have a B. And I can work my way through the whole alphabet this way. Right? I can just keep making. So let me pull this down. Come over here. Letter C. .png. Again, hang on. I'm going to duplicate this. Layer, smart object, new smart object via copy, throw the original away. Now I can change this to a C. Let me do this and then I'll show you what you're going to do. I'm just hoping that this is helpful to you. I didn't split it this time, so that's good. I'm hoping that this is helpful to you, any of you, all of you, plural you, because you have so many of these to do. If you have some kind of special effect that you want to work with. And just say, hey, and by the way, I can go in and change the color halftone, right? I can go in on this one and say, I want the dots bigger. I want them further apart. Play around with all of these controls as much as you want to get this so that you want to look at it. See, the dots have become bigger and the halftone is slightly different. So, and I can change the color of the C. If I go in and make this 100% cyan, that's going to affect the halftone dots. So you can play with all of this stuff. So you're going to have, I'm going to name this as alphabet, quite a number of these things. I'm going to put this on the desktop. I'll put it in a subfolder and I'll call it images for project 3. All right, so it's called alphabet PSD. I'm going to save it here. And then because all of these layers, all 24, 25, however many letters of the alphabet we use, are going to be here in this document, but they're all labeled this way, .png, .png, .png. If I come over here and say generate image assets, what you want is there to be a check mark, as there is right now. It's a toggle, so it's on or it's off. And if I go back to the Finder, which is where I have the folder, images for project 3, you can see that Photoshop has created this subfolder and it's placed my assets in it. There's A, there's B, there's C. So now I can go back to where I started and make a box. I'll make 3 boxes. I'll grab all 3 of them at the same time and I'll say File, Place. You can do this at the end. We navigate to that folder, Images for Project 3. I'm going to put my finger on the Shift key and grab them all and go 1, 2, 3. So hopefully this is a way to kind of batch command. We call that batching. When we do the same thing over and over again, and we don't have a whole lot of time to do it in, this is a way to make things go a bit quicker. So I hope that that was helpful. And if it isn't, and if anybody has questions, please let me know.